1. The midnight gas station. The road to Quick Check at midnight was eerie, with the faint yellow glow of scattered streetlights barely lighting the asphalt. I had driven it countless times, but that night, it felt alien, like a parallel world wrapped in darkness and danger. It took about 25 minutes from my house if I pushed the pedal, and I usually did. The road was deserted, save for the hum of my engine echoing over the flat terrain. My terrible sleep schedule had turned me into a creature of the night, coding at 2 a.m., caffeine coursing through my veins, hands trembling. Hunger gnawed at me, making me reckless. I entered Quick Check, greeted by the warmth and the smell of fresh bread. I walked the aisles, pretending to browse, but the corner at the end of the fridge aisle caught my attention. Someone was sitting on the floor, cross-legged, staring into the refrigerator. At first, I thought I was seeing things, but the figure was real, thin, hunched, wearing a brown jacket. His eyes were unnaturally wide, staring at nothing, lips trembling. His posture was tense, twisted unnaturally. Curiosity made me inch closer under the guise of shopping. The moment he turned and met my gaze, I froze. His eyes were void, hollow, like a dead man staring back at me. I swallowed hard, my heart pounding, and tried to keep my composure as I collected my sandwich. By the time I reached the parking lot, he was gone, or so I thought. A brown jacket darted from the store into a nearby truck, engine roaring to life. I sped off, heart racing, but moments later, headlights appeared in my rearview mirror. The truck was following, horn blaring, lights flashing. My pulse hit the ceiling. When it rammed my rear bumper, I barely swerved to avoid a collision. The truck skidded off into a field. I made it home safely and called the police. The car only had minor scratches, but my mind hasn't rested since. I can't stop thinking, why me? Coincidence? Or had he been watching for a long time? Every night drive, I checked the rearview mirror, heart pounding, fearing the brown jacket might reappear. 2. The Girl by the Road, New Mexico. Summer 2022. I was 25, driving across New Mexico delivering electronic parts. Route 82 was completely deserted at night, the vast open landscape echoed only my own heartbeat. Around 1 a.m., I spotted a red hatchback parked on the shoulder, hazard lights blinking. A girl stood next to it, phone raised, seemingly trying to get signal. My instincts screamed, "Do not stop." But thoughts of my sister and girlfriend kept me from leaving her. I had a gun in the car and convinced myself I was safe. She ran up, asking for a ride to the nearest gas station. Her voice was shaky, vague, drunk or high. I hesitated but unlocked the door. She slid in without looking at me. Every question I asked was avoided, her words just, "Please, just drive." Unease crawled up my spine. Through the rearview mirror, I saw a man emerge from behind the red car, and another blocking the road with a metal rod. I floored it. She screamed, rifling through her bag. I placed my gun on the steering wheel where she could see. She froze. 30 minutes later, we reached a small gas station. I dragged her out, she fell, screaming. A passing trucker thought I was attacking her. I yelled, "Careful, she has accomplices," and drove off. Checking the passenger seat, I found a phone battery and zip ties hidden. Once again, the gun had saved my life. Since that night, I never stop on empty highways at night without food and protection. I still remember her blank eyes and the subtle smile of the accomplices, so close to springing a deadly trap. 3. The purple-coated woman in the Kansas restroom. 3 years ago, my husband and I drove from Utah to Georgia, nights spent on deserted highways, only the hum of the engine and headlights for company. We planned to stop at small gas stations or motels to avoid cities. Around 10 p.m., we stopped at a tiny gas station in Kansas. Only darkness and endless fields surrounded us. My husband went to pump gas. I entered the women's restroom. As I opened the door, I nearly collided with a woman stepping out. Her gray hair was tangled and matted, like she hadn't washed in weeks. Her thick purple-green coat made her stand out in the 80-degree summer heat. My unease spiked. She carried a plastic bag, eyes fixed on me, not politely, but with an intense, unblinking stare. I nodded politely, tried to squeeze past, but she didn't move. I entered a stall, locked the door, heart pounding. Minutes passed. Flip-flops shuffled outside, then the door opened and closed. Someone was still there. A long, haunting exhale echoed. I felt watched, every heartbeat stretched. The door opened and closed again, then silence. She was playing a psychological game, testing me. When I opened the stall, the restroom was empty. I washed quickly and cautiously stepped out, waiting by the door for a large man to accompany me. She stood at the corner, staring, holding a small knife that reflected the overhead light. She leaned forward, ready to strike, or so it seemed, then turned and walked behind the building. We drove away, hearts still racing. I never used a roadside restroom again. The knife wasn't the scariest part, it was the feeling of control, of being watched across endless fields. 4. The white truck on I-80. In 2020, I was 24, driving auto parts between Midwestern states. The job was simple, pay decent, but that night changed everything. I never stopped at rest areas at night again. On I-80, night was pitch black, cold wind cutting across empty fields. Around 10:30 p.m., I pulled into a small rest stop. The parking lot was empty except for an old white truck parked in the corner, no lights, engine silent. I washed my face inside, hearing a door open behind me, no one there. Outside, the truck's headlights came on, engine still off. A chill ran down my spine. I quickly got in. 5 minutes later, 2 bright spots appeared in the rearview mirror. The white truck was following, signaling me to roll down the window. It was a trap, I realized immediately. My truck was empty. I accelerated to 90, then 100 miles per hour. The truck followed, then cut in front, blocking my path before veering to the shoulder. Heart in my throat, I passed it. Spotting a truck stop 5 miles ahead, I swerved under the lights. Semi-trucks parked, a small diner nearby. I went inside, pale, and the server called a burly trucker to help. Outside, the white truck waited. The trucker shook his head, "This isn't right." Inside the cabin, 2 men sat motionless, eyes fixed, watching every move. Seconds were enough. If I'd lowered the window, they would have acted. Minutes later, the truck reversed, turned, and sped off. I stayed inside the diner for nearly an hour before continuing. At the hotel, dirty handprints on the trunk confirmed someone had tried to open it. I took months off, drove only during the day, carried food, and never stopped at rest areas at night. That night taught me, on empty highways, darkness has eyes. Safety is an illusion. Rolling down the window could have been my last mistake. Since then, every strange sound on the highway sets my heart racing. White trucks, soulless eyes, shadowy figures, they never sleep. They are always waiting.